Hi, Hans Linier, EMEA Evangelist for Veeam Software, and today on our hot seat video we got Robin Harris, Storage Mojo, and Chris Evans, the IT architect. Robin, first introduce yourself very shortly for the audience, who you are.
I'm Robin Harris, and I write Storage Mojo and at storagemojo.com. And for ZDNet, I am the chief analyst of TechnoQuan, an analyst and research firm based in Sedona, Arizona.
Okay, great. Chris, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Chris Evans, and I blog at architecting.it. Also on Twitter quite a lot at Chris M. Evans. I have a day job working as a consultant in IT, working for a company called Langton Blue.
Okay, so this week we've been invited here, actually as indie bloggers, the three of us, at the HP Discover Conference Las Vegas. Our people know that we have a very tight relationship within Veeam with HP, both with the StoreVirtual being the former left hand and the StoreServ 3PAR. So first to you, Chris, you've been involved in the new messaging that HP did around the StoreVirtual and StoreOnce VSAs,
yep.
Going forward to the software defined. We don't have to call it like that. We can have our own vision on it. But what's the HP vision? What is their vision, and what is your take on that?
Well, clearly HP want to produce virtual appliances for all of their products by the looks of it. Whether they'll do that with 3PAR is anybody's guess, but certainly they're doing that with their mid-range product, which you mentioned, which is called StoreVirtual, and now they've brought out StoreOnce, which is their dedupe appliance. The interesting piece, obviously, is clearly they make the hardware. So whether they sell it as a VSA or whether they sell it as an appliance, an actual hardware device, they're still selling you the hardware anyway. So they win either way, don't they? What they are giving you is flexibility. So you can put something out there that's built into a virtual environment, and then you can scale it from there. So you've got flexibility to put something into a small environment that you grow, branch office, but you get the same level of replication. And the dedupe one is really interesting because the VSA is not potentially going to have the performance of the application that the appliance you buy as a dedicated box, but it still gives you the same functionality. And imagine the ability in the future to replicate that into the core of a data center, and it's already deduped, or to integrate it with the existing 3PAR range, which, if they dedupe that in the future, would allow you to just...
They have the algorithm.
They've got it all there ready. So, there's potentially a real synergy between all of their platforms.
Yeah, so the flexibility of starting real small, as in installing it as small as you want within a hypervisor environment.
That's right, exactly.
And then growing out.
And the benefit of that is you can put down a single or two chassis, you can deploy all of these on top, but you get all that functionality in one environment.
Yeah. What could be a next step? Is there something that still is missing? Because the left-hand StoreVirtual VSA has been there for quite some years, and actually, if I look at all the VSAs that are in the market, maybe the most mature one, what do they need to do next with this?
Good question. I guess integration between all of those platforms would be really good. Making sure they've got a consistent management platform, integration with their other technologies, as I mentioned, 3PAR already. I think that'd be really interesting to see, because then it makes it consistent. And we don't want to go back onto that software-defined message.
No.
We hear that so many times, and HP have mentioned that as part of the left-hand, the StoreVirtual deployment. But ultimately, that's where we're going towards, and that ability to have abstraction away from that hardware, and then have the flexibility to put the hardware in that you want, is really going to be an important piece, I think, of HP's future.
Well, doesn't that really fit with the whole converged infrastructure?
Yeah, standardization of the hardware, and storage is actually today has become software, right?
So think about the conversations we've had around the converged environments. There's already the networking piece, there's the server piece, there's the storage piece with 3PAR. There's nothing to stop you being more flexible than just putting another server there and using the left-hand StoreVirtual platform. And then literally all you're deploying is servers. You scale by just putting another server unit in, you decide what you do with it.
Yeah. The 3PAR is going to be a little bit harder because they have the ASIC architecture, and the ASIC does a lot of things. And actually, I want to move a little bit over to you now, Robin, because we had a talk yesterday with one of the product managers of the 3PAR technology. We were both at HP Discover in Frankfurt in December, where they launched the new mid-market 7000 series Can I give you a little bit on insight? What happened there with the 3PAR? Why did it take him so long to get there? And what's the benefit now? What's your take on it?
Well, it's always tough when a really large company buys a really small company. And even though 3PAR had a couple of hundred employees and was pretty big for a startup and old, scaling up the support, the engineering, learning the new engineering processes. I mean, HP has very well developed engineering processes. I was at DEC for 14 years. I got to be very familiar with theirs, and of course HP ultimately acquired DEC through Compaq. And so scaling up a small company is really a very painful process, especially for the people in the small company, because they're used to moving fast, and you get into a big company, you've got to really adjust your thinking because you're dealing with customers who maybe bought a product from a reseller, who bought it from a distributor, who bought that from HP directly, and how do you get the support out to that customer? And these are questions that most startups never deal with, and so it's just the nature of the beast. And I think though they've had to really think about the extending or adding functionality to the architecture to really make this converged infrastructure concept a reality. And it's not just about, hey, does the software run on this particular platform? It's really the testing, the interoperability, the performance testing against different application profiles. If you're going to do a quality job, there are a million details, and HP works hard to do a quality job.
So it took them 3 years, and they're there now. So what happened? What is the new thing? And why are we actually? Because I think both of us we're pretty excited about the new mid-range 3PAR that actually is going to rip and replace all EVA installations. It went from a very enterprise level of features storage to giving that to mid-market product they say 25K, but let's say 50K install base. That's a very small install base, right?
That's
so
right.
Why are we excited about that?
Well, I mean, it really, when you get down to that price point, you cannot have a direct sales force selling it. So you've got to go through the channel, and you've got to go through, integrators and VARs, and that dramatically expands the total available market for the product. And because there are a lot of people out there, that you've got a 300-person organization, they've got one IT guy, and every time he needs something done, he gets a consultant or a VAR, and if he's going to install, new hardware, he doesn't do it. He brings in his VAR that he trusts to get the work done, and if the converged infrastructure is going to mean anything, it has to start at price points below what a direct sales force can sell it for. And from a business perspective, I think that's really the key thing, is that they've expanded their total available market, and inevitably you're going to go into some companies that are going to be fast-growing companies. And if you can get in there with the $50,000 product, when that company needs the $250,000 product, you're there.
And the benefit of what they've decided to do by having 3PAR across the range is there's not additional integration work to put in other products when you scale to that larger environment. You just put in the same 3PAR, it's the same interface, it's already there, you just scale it.
Yeah, I think we're slowly wrapping up here. I hear officially that the venue is going to be closed. Any closing comments on? We've done a few HP Discovers now in the last few years. Is there an evolution that we're seeing? Is it positive evolution? Where's HP going? Where did they came from?
So I'll touch on the storage piece, and obviously I'll let Robin fill in with whatever area he wants to talk about. But from my perspective, I used to see HP as having a disparate set of storage products that were taken from different places that they'd acquired, and they just sort of didn't really have any consistency to them, and certainly didn't have any consistent management to them, really importantly. And you know, you wanted to scale, you just picked a different product, and that wasn't necessarily easy if you were growing as a company. What we're seeing is a much more focused view on two things. One, consistent platforms, starting from small to large, but also consistent features. So where they've acquired something technology-wise, that feature will get reused in some of the other products. And now we're seeing those features being rolled out to other platforms. And that's a real interesting reuse of technology that they've developed themselves.
We see them broadening the features that they get
Absolutely.
instead of siloing out. What we still see with a lot of other small acronym companies. So, without teasing. Robin, any closing comments on what we've seen in the evolution of HP in the last 5 years?
Well, I think the evolution is that they are the only major storage player that presents a clear strategic alternative to EMC. EMC is a company that is a half dozen or more product stovepipes. You know, architectures that were acquired that have really no particular linkage to any other architecture. So they've got Data Domain, they've got VMX, they've got Isilon, Atmos is homegrown, hasn't taken off as well as it might have. You know, they really, it is a series of product stovepipes. There is no convergence, or it's very weak.
HP more has.
And HP has, their strategy is very strong convergence, very strong integration across the entire product set. And it's really the only alternative, you know, a clear strategic alternative for any enterprise, starting with small and medium businesses, to EMC today. And I think
if you are a CIO, there's no excluding HP when you're looking at a new infrastructure.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody has to look at them and really understand for themselves what the benefits could be for their organization.
Okay. Thank you very much, both of you.
No problem.
Let's wrap up and have some beers, heading back home after a whole week of Vegas.